Have you ever had that feeling that no matter how much you do and how much you achieve, it just never really feels good enough? Like something's missing, like you're not really adding up? Well, it's a feeling I think we all struggle with, and today I really want to talk about where it comes from and what we can do to fix it. I'm sure we've all felt that at some point. And that feeling of uneasiness and just almost a self-loathing. It usually gets triggered by comparison, right? So you'll compare yourself to your neighbor, your teachers, maybe someone in your class, or if you're part of a big family, to your older brother or older sister, and you'll find some place you fall short, and that leads to you having this really deep sense of like that gut feeling of, oh, I'm stressed. I don't feel like I'm doing good. I feel like something's wrong. Now, like most things, it goes back to our primal days. So back in the day, you used to be part of a tribe and you'd go hunting together or gathering, or you do stuff together in order to survive. And being left out of that group felt like dying, because you were probably gonna die. Your chances of survival were super low on your own. And that's why these days, if you feel like you don't have a spot in society, then it feels like you're gonna die. That's that uneasy feeling. It's funny to think about, but it's actually like a real defense mechanism that's evolutionarily been built up, hardwired into us. So basically that's the whole idea, right? You feel like, oh, I'm not good enough to be part of my surroundings. I don't have a sense of belonging here, and I'm gonna get kicked out. These feelings get more intense when you get into like high performance circles. So let's say you get into like a new job and you don't feel like you belong here. A lot of people talk about that feeling of imposter syndrome, like you don't belong there, and that just being a horrible feeling. Well, it's because of that. You think every second I'm gonna get figured out and they're gonna throw me out and fire me and I'm gonna lose my job in my life and I'm gonna die. At the end of the day, if you follow that train of thought, that's where it goes. Now, for many people, including myself, that leads to this constant uneasy feeling of having to prove yourself and your worth, and never feeling quite at ease that you have a place. And it's funny, right? Because this same feeling can lead to being productive sometimes. Sometimes feeling like you can do better and that you're not really good enough, or as Adler would call it, feelings of inferiority, can lead to you wanting to be better and improve yourself. But when they become like almost compulsive, they turn into this very toxic feeling that actually takes away your courage to do anything, because you start to think like, no matter what I do, I'll never be good enough. And what we end up doing is trying to carve out a space that we fit into, a task that we fulfill that's unreplaceable. So, for example, you'd have the guy that works super hard at his job, and that way he thinks like, oh, they need me because I'm so good at this, and that's why they won't get rid of me and I'm safe. But then you have other people. Maybe you're not so good at work, but you say like, hey, I can make people laugh. I'll just try to make a lot of people laugh, and that way I have my place. I'm useful and I won't be left behind. The biggest thing that we want to get away from is not being seen, is like feeling invisible, feeling like we don't belong. So we constantly look for a million different ways to stay relevant. That's why a lot of people chase a lot of wealth and status and dress a certain way, wanting to belong to certain groups. It's because you have a place there. A lot of the products that we end up buying are also just for that. We buy a certain brands and dress a certain way to fit into a group or aesthetic or a movement, and feeling a part of that. Now, why is this so bad? And I really want to hammer this home. Let's say you're that guy that's trying to have his place by being successful at his work. Well, there's always going to be someone that's better. And when they show up and everybody starts to praise them from doing your job better than you do, it's going to feel horrible. It feels like you've lost your place. Like, oh, what am I needed for now? Because you're attaching your value as a person to that performance at work. Or how much money is in your bank account? How many people do you know that want to be rich, that feel like that's the way that they're going to be special? Oh, I can buy a lot of things. I'm important. I can get into the right rooms. I have a lot of status. I dress super nice. People like me. Oh, I can make people laugh. But the problem is every time you're attaching your value to that performance. And the second you can't perform, the second you can't make those people laugh, or you don't perform as well at school, it feels horrible. It feels like you're losing your place. It feels like you're gonna be ostracized and like no one's gonna love you anymore. And it's all because you place your value in those things. Even if you feel like you've proven yourself today, tomorrow it's gonna feel like you have to do it all over again. I struggle with this a lot, especially the part about being successful at stuff, at being good at stuff. I measure my worth about how good I am at the stuff that I do. For example, I am a designer, and a lot of times I'll go on Instagram and I'll look at other people's work, and it'll be so good and so many light years ahead of what I'm doing at this current point that it just stresses me out so much. It feels like this horrible feeling in my gut of like, how do I ever measure up to these people? And it's like that in many other ways too, right? Like, now luckily it's gotten better over time, but it's still persistent. And I think most of us can relate in some way. We're all fearing someone coming and taking our place and us not being worthy enough. It's a game that you can't win. Think about it. There are people that achieve insane levels of greatness in this world, and the next day they feel like it doesn't mean anything and they have to prove it all over again.
Oh, I'm not enough. I have to constantly prove myself.
Yes, sir.
To you, like, and if I proved myself to you yesterday, that's not enough.
That's not enough.
I have to prove myself again to you today.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think it's just this. I don't know how that magnet started that keeps pulling that energy out of me.
How do we get out of this cycle of constantly having to prove ourselves? Well, it's by shifting our mindset from the need to be special, to have a special place, to what Adler calls the courage to be normal. Now, what does that mean, normal? I don't want to be normal. It sounds like an insult almost, like to be normal. Oh, you're normal, I'm normal. I don't want to be normal. I want to be amazing. I want to be special. I want to be better than normal. Well, what I mean by normal and what Adler means by normal is not an insult that you are just mediocre. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean to stop chasing better. It doesn't mean to stop setting goals and improving yourself. It just means having the courage and the confidence that as you are right now, even with all your flaws, all your imperfections, everything that's wrong with you, you're good enough. You have a place. You're already adding value. And the way that I want you to think about this is like, imagine if tomorrow you would pass away or you'd leave the world. Imagine how your family would feel, how your friends would feel. Like, they'd feel awful. They'd feel horrible about it. So why is that? Because they've lost something. You were already adding value to their lives just by existing. Adler calls this contribution by existence. It's this idea that just by being alive, by walking around, by being ourselves, by being nice to people, being friendly, leaving the world a little bit better place than when we got there, we're already contributing so much that we don't need to be doing anything extra. We don't need to be the best at what we do. We don't need to make people laugh every day. We're just already contributing. We're already enough by being who we are. And think about it. This whole idea of am I good enough or not is an internal one. Because think about it, this whole idea of being good enough is internal. It's something that we feel. It's not real. It's not like there's an agency out there that's constantly using CCP cameras to measure like how much you add to society, and the second you fall below a certain level, then you're not like good enough anymore, and you're like extradited out of society. You're like exiled, sent to the fringes. It doesn't work like that. It's all an internal system. It's all what we mentally think. That's why there are people that do these amazing things and achieve more than any of us ever will, and that still feel like it's not enough. It's because it's a subjective idea. It's subjective, and that means we have the power to change it at any time. You can determine if you feel good enough or not. So nothing's stopping you from being your imperfect self as you are now, and just having the confidence that, hey, I'm fine like this. It's just about exposure therapy. It's about trying to let go one step at a time about all these misconceptions that we have in our head of, I need to do this and I need to be this and I need to do that in order to be accepted, and just having the courage like, hey, maybe I just don't do any of that and I just go out and live my fucking life and I'll be fine. But that's scary. I get that that's scary. For me, it's such a problem still. And I know for many it is. I can't really fully let go of all those expectations that I've set on myself about achieving, about being rich and famous, about trying to be the best at what I can do. I can't still let go of that because I don't really have the confidence that I'll be okay if I'm just myself. But I'm working on it, and I think you should too. We should all try to work on letting go of all that shit that we don't need and just allowing ourselves to be free of all that, because it's constraining us. A big reason why we don't follow what we really want to do is because we think it's gonna somehow leave us without a place in this world. So that's really it. Just like in the last video, the end goal is to live for yourself, to live truly in accordance to who you are as a person. If this topic interests you at all, I recommend reading these two books. The Courage to Be Disliked and The Courage to Be Happy. They're books that cover the psychology of Adler. They're incredible. They go really in depth in how all of this stuff works, and for me they've been life-changing books. I can't recommend them enough. They're a really good start to all these concepts that I talk about. With all that said, I hope this video provided some value from you, that you learned a couple things, or that it just made you think. You know, I created this channel with the idea of wanting to take a more nuanced look at the things we all struggle with. So let me know in the comments below if I've done that. Share your experience. You know, I want to create a community where we're all helping each other think about these types of things and helping each other get better. And if that's something that you support, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, give this video a like. It really helps me out in knowing that this is the type of content that I should be making, that there's a demand for it. And once again, let me know in the comments what you'd like to hear about next. That being said, guys, that's it for me. Remember, one step at a time. I'll see you next time. Ciao.